Hey, good morning. This morning I am specifically talking to any of you women out there who operate from a mindset or behavior pattern in which we term codependency. Codependency means that anytime we give away our happiness to another person, place, thing, or condition, and when we give away that happiness to that person, place, condition, or thing, and they tell us it's okay to be happy, we still choose not to be happy, we are in a codependency framework. We are operating from a codependent inner stance. If you find yourself saying yes when you really mean no, that's another signal that you're operating from codependent behaviors. So what does this have to do with weight release? Yesterday I shipped a Facebook Live and I told you that as a fitness professional, I knew that to operate from full integrity and supporting my clients, that meant I had to look at the whole person. And so the patterns showing up here in relationships have a huge association with why the body is holding on to fat energy and why the body is maintaining a weight or fat energy or is hoarding or using that fat energy as protection. So there is a key here for those of you who operate from codependency behaviors, and there's a correlation with fat energy being stored on your body. And here's why. Because if you are an emotional eater, you are operating from a codependency frequency. You are allowing the food to be your you are allowing the food to decide for you. There we go. Sometimes my brain thinks a lot faster than my mouth. And you're allowing the food to fulfill your happiness. You are allowing yourself to be in a codependent relationship with the food. And then if that cycle continues to perpetuate, then you are continuing to disempower yourself. Literally, you are giving your power away in codependency mindsets and behaviors. And so with food in that relationship, you can perpetuate a codependent behavior and associate over here with your body, and then you perpetuate this frequency between actually how you view relationships, and you view that food as a relationship. You are looking for that food to fill up you on a feeling. Now, what I know is if you ask any woman on the planet, hey, are you getting connection from that food? That connection fill you up? Does it give you love? And does it tell you you're amazing? And does that food actually give you and offer you connection? And when you really look and examine that, they always tell me no. So it's hilarious sometimes because we think we are blinded by the fact that we believe, which is a lie. Like there's a cloud here. We believe that food has the ability to give us the feeling of connection that we are looking to fill up on. And that is just not true. Ask any woman, is it sustainable? Is it long lasting for that food to give you that feeling of connection? You're looking for connection from that food, but it actually has no ability to give you the connection in which you are looking for. So if you operate from codependency frequencies, look at how they are showing up in the body. The ascension scale for me in codependency is to love that codependency into co-empowerment. And if I can love that codependency into co-empowerment, then I can operate in co-creation. That's the ascension scale for me. That doesn't mean judgment for any of you or me. That just gives us awareness. Like, where am I at on the scale of the domain of codependency? And if I am operating from codependency in relationships, you bet I'm going to have frequencies that show up in my associations with my body. So how do you co-empower yourself to operate from mindsets and skill sets of looking at the body, looking at food, and co-empowering you? How do you get to take this pattern in relationships and shift it over here in the body? I got to work and process this I get to work on all of my clients with this domain. I call it a domain. The domain of codependency is translating over here in the body, and how do you get to shift this? So it's interesting because each one of my clients is going to have their own customized way to liberate this pattern and pathway for themselves. It depends on the degree of which they are codependent, and that we get to examine and look and actually create solutions and an action plan around. In co-empowering energy, we have well-established boundaries. We know what we require. We understand our relationship with that person, place, or thing, and our happiness does not come from that person, place, or thing. It comes from within. No one can make you be sad or make you happy. Going back to those things, I know you know this, but yet here we are still cycling and spinning our wheels with a frequency that shows up in relationships, and it's massively impacting our body. So some of you are going to have your own timeline with upgrading this frequency, because some of you have been in codependent relationships your entire life, and that's how you know how to connect with others. You have not actually experienced another frequency of being in a co-empowering relationship or even a co-creation relationship. So many women don't even know what that feels like to be in co-creation with another person, place, or thing, because they operate from complete, here's my power and I'm going to give it away to that person, place, or thing. And then if they say it's okay to be happy, I'm still going to choose not to be happy because I am addicted to feeling disempowered. That's all I know. So for some of you, it's going to require an investigation of that really deeply, and it's going to require some vulnerability, and it will require you to love that fear into faith. And I can't make you do that. It's something that you get to step out and actually walk on the water and do for yourself. You actually have to take the leap. And you can keep hearing all these other women do it. You can keep hearing other women win in that way, but it doesn't actually happen for you until you take the leap. So I just love how the body presents frequencies and information. You are a blueprint for me to know, like, there's so many answers that your body is presenting to me to be able to serve you. And your answers to weight release might actually not be in just nutrition and exercise. They actually might lie over here in the way you view and experience relationships. And when your body doesn't have to go to such great lengths to protect you, that's all fat energy is a protection, then it's amazing what happens for your body to release. But oftentimes it's that iceberg effect. It's all the things underneath the surface of the water that let us unlock your body's ability to release. When it no longer has to function in protection mode, coming from the onslaught of acid through thoughts, feelings, emotions, moods, and what you put in your body, when it no longer has to function in protection mode, it will release. Because that's your body's job. Its job is to keep you safe. So if you find yourself in codependent relationships, my invitation to you is to number one, be aware, like, where am I showing up where I'm giving my power away to this person, place, or thing, and still choosing to be unhappy, because that's a perpetual sequence of codependency. You continue to disempower yourself, and that's the first step, sister, is to just be aware, like, where am I offering codependency in my relationships? And I will put in the text here some other identifications for you, because it's good for you to have it written out for you to even know, like, am I in codependent frequencies? And as independent as I am, I am independent. I still get to examine and understand if there are opportunities where I'm functioning in codependency. It sneaks up sometimes, and it's so subtle that I'm like, interesting. That's awesome awareness for me, so that I can love that codependency into co-empowerment, which just gives me the choice to be very clear about what I require and where my boundaries are, and that my energy field is very defined, and people want to be around me when I operate from those inner stances. When I choose happiness from inside, then you actually have the opportunity to be around. People want to be around you. And then for me, I take that even a step further, that not only am I co-empowered in my relationships, then we get to, like, the ultimate ascension for me is co-creation. And that's something my husband and I have just begun to understand. And it's interesting because my husband and I both get to work from home, and we are both, like, ruthless right now about building some digital assets and creating some cash flow differently for the pipelines that we're building. And so we are showing up in co-creation energy strong. And some days, like, he's got to sit in the other room and I'm sitting over here in this room, because our energy fields are so big and our boundaries are so established on what we require in that very hour, that sometimes that co-creation means that we are in different rooms. But our co-creation is unified, is working together. When we're operating from sets and skill sets that empower us, then you see us show up in co-creation. And to me, that's the ultimate capstone of relationships, is to operate from co-creation together. You are creating alongside each other, and you are clear about what that looks like, on what each of you require, and you are willing to communicate with each other what that means. For me, co-creation is going to look different from you to you and you and your husband. Like, what it looks like for me and my husband is ours. And I love functioning in that mindset and skill set. So I'm going to post here in the link in the Facebook Live some ways that you can recognize, number one, if you're in codependency, and number two, how does this translate over here in your body? If you are operating from codependency in relationships, I want you to examine how you're doing that with food. The pattern here in relationships is the same pattern over here in food. So if you can identify these in the way that you are showing up in your relationships with others, take that same pattern and look at it through the lens of your body and the way that you eat and the way that you see and experience food, because it will give you answers. I can guarantee, if you look for the associations between over the relationships and the body, you will have an action plan show up for you today on what you get to do to love that codependency with food, to co-empowerment with food, and then you can operate from co-creation with food. Can you imagine what it feels like? This is what I experience, to walk into your kitchen and that food has no power over you. It does not decide for you if you are going to be happy or sad. It doesn't decide for you that if you sit down and take a bite of that pie, that you are going to just engorge the rest of the day, and then you're going to give up because, oh well, I already screwed up here, so that means that I just screwed up the whole day, and it becomes all or nothing to you. So imagine if you can walk into your kitchen, walk into a restaurant, and be in a co-empowering frequency, because you've learned how to do it over here in relationships. It's the same pattern with food. If you can learn it in the way that you speak and interact with your husband and your children and your friends, it's the same pattern with food. And patterns are powerful. God works in patterns. So I know I know because I've seen lots of my clients do it, that if you are willing to do the work over here in relationships, it will heal and co-empower you with food. And you will be able to come from an inner stance of clearly defined boundaries with food. You will know what food you require in order to fuel your body. Like, I and a lot of fitness professionals, we can teach you all the macro balances and all the science behind it, but ultimately you have an internal temperature gauge. You know what food works with you. I can give you all the options that are best for you, but if you really checked in with your body would communicate to you what you need, what your body doesn't need. If you really ask it, your body's so full of intelligence, it will have a conversation with you. It will talk back to you. And if the only thing that's different is if you will listen and you will actually receive the action plan that your body is constantly communicating to you, because it's a higher, it desires to keep you safe and it desires to work with you. So just notice that again. A relationship frequency is the same with your body and spirit. We are talking about a relationship. So this is why I coach from all 4 areas. I coach from the body, relationships, spirituality, and business, because all of those frequencies present patterns and principles for you to have a breakthrough in your body. And some of you learn that way. You actually, when I speak from that platform. And so there's power in accessing and approaching your weight release, your body, your power with your body, and looking at all 4 of those areas. So I have 2 spots left in Q2. I'm so excited whoever gets to fulfill those spots, because my clients that work with me, we go all in time, energy, and resources for you to create a complete life change. And I'm going to be radically honest with you. In 90 days of working with me, we're going to be planting seeds. We're going to be experiencing a whole new harvest. And you reaping all of that, the benefits are going to show up in 9 to 12 months. That's just what's honest, sisters. Like, you can go and keep believing that every 21-day fix and every 30-day start is going to support you, and it will give you the beginning. It will give you a couple seeds to put on that soil. But you require long-lasting mindsets and behavior patterns that actually change the way that you think. If you can change the way that you think, perceive, and see, that's what changes your outcomes. And I know that this happens because I see my clients producing fruit at 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, and 12 months, even though they worked with me for a 12-week commitment. So I love you and I honor you, and I hope you are having an amazing day. And I just wanted to speak to those of you who are showing up in codependency relationships, because I love you and I honor you, and I know it's a part of the process, and there's power in the process. And there's power in you recognizing where you're showing up in codependency and how you can love that into co-empowerment. And then you can even come to the table of co-creation and experience a whole another level of freedom, because you're operating from those inner stances, all because you desired to understand what your body was doing. All right, ladies, I will put some things here in the comments for you to look and identify codependency patterns for you. Just really quick, I'm going to look at if you guys had any questions. Thank you guys for watching. I get to do better at recognizing when you hop on and giving you a little shout out. Thank you for watching. I received this gift with gratitude. Awesome. What am I searching about now? Codependency. Lori, I'm not sure what you mean by that. What am I searching about now? Codependency? Maybe that's what you were searching for today and I just started talking about it. Is that what you're saying? Tina, in all my life, it has never been about me. I was always taught to put others first. I'm scared to do that for me, but it's time but it is time. I don't want to be overweight and be happy. Awesome. That's a really awesome opportunity for you to recognize The best way that I can share with you, Tina, and how to look at this is the high tide raises all the boats. So if the boats on my tide would be my husband and my 3 boys. And if my tide is low, then my ability to provide love and empowerment for them is low. If I rise my tide and everything that I do to co-create an experience, an environment for them to thrive, which also includes me working on me, I provide a solid foundation for the empire and our kingdom to be built on. So if I am weak, if there is vulnerabilities, if there are places within me that get to come to be upgraded into love, then that will just benefit my kingdom, my husband, my king, and my children. And so that's exactly how I see it. The high tide raises all the boats. God said it this way, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. If you want to love others, the way that you know how to love others is that you actually know how to love yourself. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. So we must learn how to love ourselves in order to truly love others. And sometimes that looks like me stepping back and surrendering to what they need. Sometimes that looks like me allowing my children to get an F on their homework, right? Because I know that I love myself enough to recognize that imperfect action that I take or the lack of preparation I give positions me to make choices to empower me. And I want to provide that same thing for my children. So when I'm operating from co-empowerment frequencies, even with my children, sometimes that looks like letting them fall flat on their face because I love them and I know what that experience will do for them. Just like making their bed. I can make their bed every day and they can be dependent on me to clean their room and make their laundry awesome. Or I can hold space for them to learn how to do that action themselves. And I will continue to invite them and I will continue to allow them to get in this pattern of making their bed every day and helping them recognize why. Why is that important? So I know there's power in you allowing the tide within you to rise, which will rise all the boats on your tide, sister. Okay, any other questions in here that popped up? I will give you examples of codependency and I will write them out for you because that will be a little bit easier for some of you to connect with. And I think that's all your questions. Anyone else have any other questions? Okay, cool. I'm on my way to my last class of my Reiki certification today. So have an amazing day, you guys. I love and appreciate you and honor you.